Welcome to Watch Your Story. We have a wonderful show for you today. You know, we're really into art this week, and we have a former Clark County school district art teacher who retired, and then she started creating all kinds of other things. So please help me welcome Christy Watson. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
So my adventure just basically started back in 2005. I was at a convention for the National Art Education Association, and they had art clay silver, like a class that I signed up for. And in the class, we were given this little tiny piece of metal clay, and we had to make something with like a pendant, and then they fired it during the convention. And I just enjoyed doing that so much that I ended up getting taking a class to learn how to teach other people how to use precious metal clay. And I certified with Pam East and became a level 1 instructor. And then a few years went by, and I told my husband I have to go, and I want to be able to be a senior level instructor so I can certify other people. And the real motivating factor for why I got involved with the silver clay was so that I could use it with some of my students at school. And if you're a certified instructor, you get a little bit of a discount. So I use that as a way to help teach my students. So it's been fun.
Well, you do amazing pieces, absolutely amazing pieces. Let's show some of them to our audience, and you tell us about them and how you created them and where you're going with them.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that I had actually at the gallery, and this is actually a little vessel.
Now, was that the City Lights Gallery in Henderson?
At the City Lights Gallery in Henderson, and I won 3rd place for this in the mixed media. And the top comes off, and it's made using cork clay. So cork clay is a combustible material that the silver clay is wrapped around, and then after it's been fired, this one right here is 0.999% silver, so it's 99% silver.
So you can put some little treasure in there and wear it.
Yes, or a little keepsake note from somebody. Yeah. And then the top right here is done with a syringe, so the clay comes in a syringe form, and you can drag it and manipulate it. And then these are cutouts that were done with a paper punch, because the precious metal clay also comes in a paper form. So you can use punches to cut out designs for it.
Wow.
So there was a lot of, it was very work intensive. This stone inside here is an onyx stone, and you can only fire stones in the kiln that is like a 0.7 or a 7 point hardness on the hardness scale. They can be fired inside the kiln, but anything that's softer would just disintegrate. You can't put a diamond in there either, because a diamond would turn to ash.
Oh,
so
really?
No firing any diamonds. So most of my work uses cubic zirconias, because that's what you can safely put in the clay and fire it without having
That's a beautiful necklace. I like the length of it. You know, that's a really pretty piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I also wore this at on Let's Make a Deal. When I went to Let's Make a Deal, I was with Wayne Brady, and I actually was cowled down, and I was jumping up and down, and you could hear the lid jingling. It's a very special piece for me. So, and then this one right here is you can press things into the clay. So this is a medallion I made. I pressed it into a stamp that had some texture in it, and then I set it with this, I think it's a firestone. And then I like to incorporate beads, because they're so unique, and they add a little bit more than just adding a silver chain to your design. So that was one of my other pieces that I had done. Then you can also, this one's still attached. You can also enamel on metal clay. And again, all the stuff that I use, there's different brands of metal clay out there, but I'm certified with Art Clay World USA. And this is a little penguin, and you can enamel.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, and whenever you do an enamel on one side of a pendant, you have to turn it over and do enamel on the other side of the pendant. And those are made from the paper clay where you punch. So you punch it, and then you can go ahead and I use a little bit of paste and attach it, and it's fired. Then after it's fired, it's polished and tumbled, and then I went ahead and enameled around the outside of it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thanks. So, and then the syringe allows you to do extrude clay, like from a needle. And this is made using syringe. And so the syringe is made into little circles, and I had a pattern underneath it. And then the syringe is wrapped around the stone, and then the stone is actually fired in there. So that's like a purple zirconia and a pink zirconia.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
I love them all.
And you can actually use precious metal clay. Also comes in 14 karat gold or 24 karat gold.
So it's actual clay, but it's metal.
It's clay. Yeah, it's made by Aida Chemical Company in
Mhm.
Japan, and they recycle stuff from X-ray films to create the clay. And then there's organic combustible materials underneath that when it's fired to, I think I fired mine about 1600 degrees, then all the other combustible materials, they burn out, and what's left behind is the silver. So this
Wow.
one has a little bit of gold on it.
Yes,
So, and
that's
that's like a gold foil that's applied to it, and then it's fired. So, and then this one right here was inspired by a trip to the ocean. So I used a shell and I traced around the outside
oh
of it.
yeah, and put the
And
pearl in it.
yeah, so it's kind of, I love going to the beach. It's nice and relaxing for me. And so this was kind of like a memory of like the shoreline. That's why I did that texture on the outside of it. And then this one right here is metal clay also comes in tiny like little granules. So I have silver granules that were applied on top of, this is a plain silver
I
disc.
see.
And then the silver disc. And
that's
then
fascinating.
this is enameled on top. So made it all in silver and then apply the enamel afterwards.
Wow.
And then this last little one here, I love using, oops, sorry. I love using molds. So you can actually press the clay into the mold, and then when you're you let it dry, and then it pops out. So I usually put a little bit of like Pam, like cooking spray inside it so it doesn't stick. But this is a mold of a face.
Oh, I like that.
And then what I did is I cut out the backside so that I could put, you know, I want it to be hollow. I don't want to waste all that clay. And then I made it like a sprite. So I like sprite in the forest. So kind of like a little bit of like, I don't know, fantasy.
It's almost like a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. So how did you just get into this?
So
I know you said you took a class.
Yeah.
But what happened in your heart that you just all of a sudden said, I can do this?
I had so much joy in creating like something from just a block of clay. And like I've done ceramics, I've taught ceramics, and it's just kind of magical when you make something from clay. I mean, you can carve into it, you can stamp into it, you can mold it, you can, you know, with the syringe, you can get really delicate designs as well. And so I was hooked because it's magical when you make something in clay and then you put it inside a kiln and it comes out, and all of a sudden it's really hard, and you know you can tumble it. Like I use a rock tumbler and steel shot, and you tumble it and it helps get a really shiny surface. I use some Dremel tools when I do my work as well, along with hand sanding. So with art clay silver, 80% of the work is done while it's wet and while you're forming it, and then 10% of the work is done after it's dried, before it's actually fired. You're like sanding it after it's, I usually use a food dehydrator to put the clay in. It gets all the moisture out. And then when it's dehydrated, you sand it and refine it. And then you fire it. And then you do another 10% of the work afterwards. So it's like 80, 10, 10. That would be 100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I wish I now I have a lot more time because I'm retired, so I can explore more designs. And then also I wanted to keep my jewelry, it's very affordable. I try to price my pieces so that the average person, if they have a little extra pocket change, you can go ahead and buy that piece somewhere under $200. And that's because I don't want to be a collector of my own jewelry. I want my jewelry on other people. So everything that I do, and even in my art, because I know that I have some painting that I have in the gallery. I do photography, but again, my prices are so that you can afford to buy it and you can hang it in your home and you have an original work of art.
Right.
So
now, do you do oil or acrylic or watercolor or?
I do acrylic painting and I do some watercolor. I switched to acrylic after I had my kids because the oil and the smell in the house, and that's what I was actually teaching in high school too. So I do a little bit of both, and I usually get my ideas from places I've gone, places I visited, when I travel, textures I see, or things that I love, things that I'm like, I really like certain types of patterns, and I love hearts. So I mean, I use a lot of hearts in my designs, but I also don't usually make a piece more than once. Like I make one piece and then that's it. And then I'll change the design because I want you to have that something special that nobody else has, you know. Oh, this one right here I have on too.
Yes, that's beautiful. I was looking at that.
And I rolled a little cone, like with the clay, made a little cone, and then I had to hand set all the little, they're all cubic zirconians in there. And then the rings, I made these rings. Now this one is from when I was in college. So the funny story is that I didn't get to take a jewelry smithing class until I was a senior, and I went to Buffalo State College, and I did these two with silversmithing, traditional silver making methods. And then I told my parents, I think I might want to be a jeweler. My parents like, oh no, you're going to be an art teacher because that's what you went to for the last 4 years. So they're like, if you want to make jewelry, you can explore that further on down the road. So these ones are all ones I've made with the art clay silver. So again, this is like a heart. It's a gem cubic zirconia I've set in there, a dolphin from a stamp, like a mold that I made, and then a raised heart with a red cubic zirconia in it. But the tricky thing is, like, since this is 99.9% silver, when you hit it, like I wear rings all the time, they're soft, so they get kind of nicked up. So these pendants, 99% silver, it's okay because you're not really, banging your pendant around anywhere.
Yeah.
But for the rings and stuff, you also have to accommodate for shrinkage. So say you wear a size 7 ring, I might be making it at like an 8.5, and then you can't ever, it's hard to get an exact size because it varies how much it's going to shrink based upon how thick it is, or the width of it all affects your final jewelry outcome. So I dabbled with some rings, but mostly I stick to pendants, and I've made some earrings too. So I've further gone out by taking just precious gemstone beads, and exploring a little bit of like recycled things. Like I did these really cool bottle cap earrings where the inside of them had like 9 of hearts and 8 of hearts and 7 of diamonds. And I was like, I can't just throw this away. I'm like, what's the purpose of this? And then when I looked it up, there really was no purpose other than people who want to collect them. So I started putting some resin in and painting them and just marketed them as Las Vegas because, in Vegas, everyone, cards, it kind of goes together, the theme. So I kind of experimented with that too. And I'm not sure where this is all going to take me, but I just love creating, and I collect jewelry as well. So my own jewelry I tend to either sell or give away to friends and family, and I buy other people's jewelry all the time too.
I'm that way too. I absolutely love jewelry. So when I see something, I'm like, oh, I want that. Yeah, you have some beautiful pieces here. So tell us a little bit more about you and your creativity and being a community member of Life Gallery. What does that mean to you to have a community of other artists that you can be a part of? Is that important to you, or do you like to just be by yourself doing your own thing?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't like to make things alone. And almost all of these pendants, I had someone else with me while I was making them. And the City Lights Art Gallery I got involved with about a year ago. And I went there because they had a call for art. Well, actually, maybe it's been 2 years now. I think it might be 2 years. They had a call for art, and that's when I put this pendant in. And I had placed, in the juried show, and you volunteer and you get to meet people that come into the gallery and other artists. And that's important to me because I thrive off of their creativity and get inspired by seeing other artists' artwork. And it's nice to know that there's other people out there that are doing things that are just as passionate about like the arts. There's classes at the gallery, so that's something that I hope to do. I said when I joined, I said, I'd love to teach some classes, and up until now I just haven't had any time, but now I'm like, I have some time. So
this would be something
I'm going to be teaching some classes on art clay silver and how you can make your own pendant and your own earrings, and there's some basic little techniques, and Lord knows I have enough tools that can fill this room up. So the community is super important to me. I like the fact that we have months where we just display our artwork and show it, and people can come in and look at it. And then they have, I think they have 3 different juried shows during the year that you can participate in. Even the photography show, there was a photography show, and it's in June. So that's the other thing that motivated me. I just went on a trip to Maui and took a bunch of pictures, and I'm like, okay, I'm saving these pictures. And actually one's in the gallery right now. I was looking at the way that the tide washed across the shore and the bubbles and the textures, and I was like, ooh, that's just so cool. And I ended up manipulating that and making a pretty cool blue and purple print with it. So
I find it interesting that so many artists are also photographers.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. It's just
I think they appreciate art. They appreciate beauty.
Oh yeah, I you can find me in the valley taking pictures at the sky in these random places, or when I see something that's kind of interesting, and people just kind of look at me like, what is she taking a picture at? And you can't even tell what it is that I'm aiming it at. No one else sees it, but I do. So I think that's like the photographer's eye,
Yes.
Yeah, they do go hand in hand. So some of the things I might explore, they have like little tiny glass discs, and you can put pictures inside it. So I was thinking of exploring that in the upcoming year ahead. But always looking for new ideas and getting inspired from, things that I see other people doing as well.
Yes. Wow, you're just a barrel of energy. It's fun meeting you because you're just full of energy and you're so creative and I like you.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thanks.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you or they wanted to buy a piece of your jewelry, how could they do that?
Well, they can visit the City Lights Art Gallery because my stuff is on display there, and I change it out every quarter or every 3 months. I have stuff on Etsy, and then I also have my own website, klectable.com.
K-lectable?
Klectable, and that has a story also. My middle name is Kay, and my dad was always like, "Oh, it's like a collection. It's like you should collect things," and I do collect things. I collect precious moments. I collect jewelry, spoons, shot glasses. I collect ephemera, like stuff that you're supposed to throw away. I have boxes of it just because I have such a hard time parting with it. Dove chocolates has little sayings inside it. I hold on to them. I think I have every fortune cookie inside fortune saved in a bag at home because I can't throw them away. So I'm a collector of many things, and that's how my name kind of originated. Was it's Klectable, and the idea behind the jewelry is that you can't just have one; you should collect them all. So Klectable, you can collect it.
Is it K-lectable or is it K-A-Y?
It's Kaylectible. Klectable.
K-lectable. I love that. That's
Thanks.
great. That's a very creative name as well.
Yeah, and it honors my grandmas as well, because both of my grandmas were named Catherine and they went by Kay. So that's how I got that middle name. It was passed down from generation.
I like it. I like it. Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for being our guest on the show and for showing us all your beautiful jewelry. And I wish you every good luck with your business now that you're retired and into a new entrepreneurial business.
Thank you. Be looking for some of those classes at the gallery, because that's what my real passion is. I have a passion for teaching, and that's just never gonna stop.
Okay, well, we'll definitely do that. We'll be looking for classes on, what is it, silver clay?
Art clay silver, and at the City Lights Gallery.
At City Lights Gallery in Henderson, and that's at 3 Army Street in Henderson, Nevada. And thank you for being with us today and for just watching the stories of our wonderful guests that we have. This is a very creative community, and we hope that you will go out and visit City Lights Gallery in Henderson, and we'll see you again next time.